2 months into us living here at this new home in Newnan, we took 8 40-round shots to the house.
Wow.
Again, my mom was addicted to crack cocaine. Dad was definitely pretty much an alcoholic. So we talk about PPE all the time, personal protective equipment.
Yep.
Well, we never talk about PPM and personal protective mindset. Find out.
Hello, and thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. And maybe thanks for watching it on the Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel. So if you're not watching on the Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel, just know that you can go there. It's part of the Real People Getting Real Results series that Rhea and I started. And you can actually watch the video. There'll be some links and things you might hear us refer to that you won't be able to see, obviously, if you're listening. But let's get to today's show. And today I got a returning guest. Just in case you didn't know it, Chad Cox is the guest today, but he also has been on the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast back in February 14th, 2022. He's grown a lot since then. There's no doubt. I stay in touch with Chad and his episode. If you want to go listen to it, there's not a video of that one, but if you want to go listen to it, it's episode 270 on the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. And also the audios of the podcast are uploaded to the Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel, and there's a playlist for audio interviews, and you can go find him there at episode 270. So, welcome to the Real People Getting Real Results show, Chad.
Thank you for having me, sir. It means a lot to be here right now today. So,
man,
opportunity again.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm always excited to talk to you. Every time we get on the phone, you get me fired up. I'm about ready to jump out of the truck if I'm running down the road. But
I know if I jump up here and run around a few times, everybody be fine. So, but no, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. You and Rhea both.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to be having you back, because the only people who come back are the people who still growing, and it's been 2 years. And for the people who hadn't listened to the other episode, I mean, you go really deep into your personal story on the other episode, and you're welcome to share any of that if you want to on this one. You don't have to, but you already got it out in episode 270. But to start this one off, in case people hadn't listened to the other one, can you just take us back? And I always ask the guest, how do we know each other? How'd you come to discover me?
Well, Mac, it was probably, I'm going to say, about 3 years ago. I ran into your LinkedIn page. I was searching for some development, some type of development. I didn't really know where I was searching, but just out of the blue, your name popped up. And when I clicked on to your profile, it actually had your cell phone number, which I was shocked. Most people don't, indicate their cell phone, only email with the business LinkedIn. So I took a long shot, and these days I thought it was a scam. I didn't know, I was just thinking it's going to be some guy wanting my social security number, but I called you, and it was a conversation like I've known you for years. It was a very meaningful conversation. And I think we talked maybe an hour, and about different scenarios and settings, and we got involved. And, I got to read some of your books and got to come to, 2 conferences now in Alabama and Opelika at the beautiful country club down there, which was great both times. And the food was awesome, and it was just that's how we met. And, I think when we did meet, it was someone that I could relate to very strongly, and, someone that would listen to me, and then from there, you kept believing in me, and I kept pushing towards and pressing towards. And I think I've made a very big leap here from 2 years ago. I can still listen to that audio, and I'm thinking, wow, I see the growth. My kids see the growth. My wife sees the growth, and that's really what means. That's my stepping stone there. Now, I love it for my company too, but when my wife comes to me and says, "Hey, Chad, whatever you're doing is working," that to me is peaceful. That gives me strength and values to keep pressing. And that's what we're here today to speak about, roughly. A few entities on different stuff, but yeah, that's my main topic.
That's outstanding. And every time I talk to you, we've had a lot of hour-long and longer conversations.
Oh, yes.
In those 3 years. I mean, they're always good. They're always meaningful. They're not just,
Absolutely.
We don't talk to each other just about random stuff. we always talk about leadership development.
Leadership development. It's no like a fishing hole back here in Newnan. It's about how we can be better. And now, that's just where we're focused on that. We're committed to that, and we're committed to that level. And that's my identity. This industry and helping people and trying to lend a hand and be kind. That's what I want my identity to be known as. And it's a learning curve. It's a heavy load, and it's working. It's working. Yeah. But needless to say, that's kind of how we met and how we triggered, the relationship off, and that's kind of where we went from there.
Okay, and we're going to talk about. We're going to get back to that pretty quick, but just right off the bat, for the people who are just beginning to listen and who don't know you, what kind of work do you do?
Well, I work at Brent Scarbrough Company. We're a heavy civil contractor out of Newnan, Georgia. We do turnkey projects, bolt grading, fine grading. We do annual contracts for the city of Atlanta, municipality contracts. We do, I run the Trenchless division, which is I'm Director of Trenchless Operations.
Okay.
I oversee all the, shareholders, stakeholders, the GCs. We have meetings, pre-planning, build design. So I got a lot, I got a lot going on with that, and I'm trying to develop my team as well and bring these guys up into a certain manner and a certain degree. So we at Brent Scarbrough have a great team from top to bottom. Shane Waters is our leader. He's the president of the company. He's a great man. I know him personally. I've got to know him personally here in the last couple of years, and he's a great leader and individual. Really on the inside looking at it, he cares about each and every employee, and that means a lot. Brent Scarbrough himself, he has not backed out of it, but he sold the company to the employees and make it an ESOP company.
Okay.
And Brent, again, Brent is the number one guy. He's the one that built all this for us, and he set the plateau in the landscape for us, and he's like a father figure, and I don't let him and Shane down, so.
Awesome. And I want to ask you, just out of curiosity, because I don't know, and it doesn't matter what the answer is. I'm just curious. Yes. But you talked about you come to know Shane. It was Shane
Waters. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the president, right?
Yes.
You just had mentioned him. I was thinking about Brent, but it's Shane who I was wanting to ask you. You said you'd come to know him over the last couple of years. Is part of your coming to know him because of your growth, because you started developing yourself as a leader, or is it some other reason, just through the work that you come to know him?
I was more, and I don't want to say scared to really chime in. I was just more available to work, and now that you're exactly right. You hit it right on the head. As soon as I started getting smarter and more educated about myself and what type of degree that I could bring to the company, I started seeing that in a clearer view. Yeah. So I think once he started seeing that of my growth, then we became pretty balanced. Like, hey, we're almost the same people. I'm just in the field and he's a gauntlet in the office because he's a beast in the office. I'm in the field. That's what Brent tells us all the time. He's like, you guys you're a powerful team. If you could be built, Chad Cox built, and built Shane Waters built, then if we could mimic that and clone that, we'd have a company out, you couldn't touch us, So yeah, we share some of the same traits.
Okay.
I'm just saying, he's a little bit older than me, not much older, but we get along great, and we can disagree with each other firmly, and we can still walk away smiling and laughing. It's business. It's very direct, and it's only direct. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
And that's how we get stuff done.
Absolutely. And your personal growth helps you have those tough conversations. There ain't no doubt. I know from my own personal growth.
Yes.
That helps us deal with that. I mean, that's one reason companies need to consider personal development, leadership development for everybody at every level, because that's just one of the reasons, but it helps people have the tough conversations. It also helps you avoid them.
It does. To have a constructive conversation, and sometimes there's criticism involved, but it's polite criticism. It's something you need to know. I'd rather tell you and than you don't know.
Yeah.
And then you don't never have course correction, so there's a way to do it. And there's an approach in every step we take. So yeah, it works out great with me and him.
Okay. I'm just curious about that. So I want to go back to, you talked about coming to Alabama when Christian Women's Job Corps hosted that site. I mean,
Yes.
hosted that event, and they put that on and bought a lot of our books and had us come over and speak and open it up to anybody in the community or outside the community. In your case, anybody could come. And what was cool about that is both times you had somebody really special sitting beside you. Why'd you bring Miss Lisa? What made you? You know, it ain't just about work. That's what I know. But what caused you to bring her with you?
Well, first I want to say before I answer that question, that Lisa's my whole world. So I'm going to bring her whether I'm going to a wrestling match or whether I'm going to a mud bowl. So I wanted to bring her to be a part of what I'm doing. I wanted to bring her to actually meet you guys for one. You know,
and we think a lot of her. She's awesome.
You guys are great people. So I wanted to, to talk about it. I wanted to, to see the hype. I wanted to see her, show her personally, hey, this is it. You know, I don't have to say anything. Let them talk and you're good. But no, I brought her to be a part of what I'm a part of. I think what I'm a part of, I'd want her to be a part of as well. She's my biggest fan, and I need her presence just as much as I need my personal development presence. So
that's awesome.
Without that presence of her, there's really no presence for me. So
outstanding.
That's why I bring her. That woman is a great individual, not only a great wife, but a great mother and a great grandmother. Gigi, she don't like to say, I can't say grandmother. Gigi. And when we did go to Alabama, she was just like me. You know, I never seen her talk so fast, never seen her talk so in depth about what we heard, and it just smile. Sometimes the science of smiles will really intrigue you. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what I got out of her. You know, I'm glad. And that's why I took her. And also the view. The place is beautiful. The people were great. You had a great event. I'm looking forward to another one.
Yeah, people who don't know about the Grand National, the Marriott over there in Opelika, they don't know that's a little hidden gem. It ain't that far from Newnan, is it?
No, it's not. Just 45 minutes, a little bit less than an hour to get there. It's a beautiful spot. And I think when you spoke that morning, that night, Tennessee beat Alabama. And it was that was one of the remembrance, it's just a great, great night. I can mark that down on my calendar and smile again.
Okay.
So we had a good time.
What did Lisa, when y'all left from there and you had a chance to talk, because she probably had heard you talking about it, but even you the first time hadn't been in a room with us talking about it for a couple hours. It's a little different probably being in a room versus reading a book. But what did she actually think about it?
She could see why that I've been so in depth, and she had a little more understanding because from me explaining it to her, she really didn't take it in. It's like you explaining it to me, so it was something that she seen, that I was interested in, and then it got her interested in it, and now she knows that, hey, there is what you've been talking about. I'm hearing these guys speak it. They're translating it differently, but it's the same thing you've been talking about and you've been needing, and this is a helpful factor to you. So if you're buying in, I'm buying in with you. We go as a team, so we don't leave each other behind. So when I went in there, and I've been in some dark places in my life. I've been in some very dark rooms and dark places, but I had to build some city walls up around that. And the first block that got set to build those walls was talking to you the first time 3 years ago. And now we just put the mortar down, and now I've got 3-sided wall. I still got some open ends coming in, but it's working. What you're doing and what you guys are writing and the places you're traveling, going across the country, and you're taking your time to do it. It's touching people across the world, not just in the United States, but here in Newnan, Georgia, it has touched me and my wife and my family. And we're very grateful for that. So I look at work as my identity, but I also look at my personal growth and development as my identity as well. So good stuff, man. It just is it's emotional sometimes, but it's true. It's fact,
Yeah. So you said meeting me or coming across my content was a turning point for you.
Yes, sir.
What's been some other turning points for you in your personal growth journey?
Well, years ago, I know I had a portfolio going way back. I don't want to go too far back, but years ago, again, like I just said, I was in some dark places. I had a bad attitude. I would get mad in a split second, 10 seconds, and I was fire mad, ready to fight you in a minute. My crew seen it. The people around me seen it. They knew I was a good guy, but I think just being that it wasn't getting me nowhere. And after a few sentences or nuggets that I finally dove into, I have the ability to pause now. We have the great ability to pause before you react. So I learned that step, and that was a huge turnaround for me, is to understand that, it's all in your response, and how you respond to different people, and how you're going to build a team. So that I've had some few turnarounds. I've had a lot of turnarounds, growing up. Again, my mom was addicted to crack cocaine. I had to deal with that as a young kid. Dad was definitely pretty much an alcoholic. So we had some and everybody's got that story, right? Everybody. But I think those steps are who I am today. I don't have any regret. I think harnessing the power of regret is very critical. And that's what I've learned here, is how to harness the power of regret. I don't regret it. I know a lot of things happen to people and they say, I regret that. Well, you shouldn't. I regret that it actually physically happened, for sure, but wouldn't change a curve, because that's who I am today. That's what made me be pressed towards what we're doing here today, and trying to be a better individual. It's free of charge to be kind. They don't send you an invoice in the mail. You don't have to pay no big bill. You just be kind.
Yep.
And that's a helpful factor.
360 degrees. It'll change the way people see you if you're nice to folks, won't it?
Absolutely. And that's what's doing it. It's working, Mac. It's working. And, we're building some resilient teams over here. We're doing great things. We need a lot of work. We need a lot of work at the company. We're about 800 people strong now.
That's a big company.
A lot to facilitate. There's a lot can go wrong any different time, and we're doing great, and Shane's doing the best he can. But, we're work in process. We're still climbing. We're still climbing.
Yeah. You talk about that short temper, folks who maybe this is their first episode. That I know exactly what Chad's talking about, because I had overcome the same thing, which was me. My temper was about that long, and it was ugly. Man, it was ugly, and it liable to pop out anywhere, anytime for the smallest reason. Yes. Most people will be like, "What's going on?" Oh, that's just Mac. He goes crazy all the time. Don't worry about it.
Well, this industry does it to you. It overwhelms you, and you try to. A lot of people I tell don't mistake passion or anger over passion, and they're like, "That's some serious passion." Well, again, it is. I'm kind of built differently when it comes to really focusing. But yeah, the people out there that are having those problems, I think it's normal. It's not nothing unnormal, right? We're human. We're the human values. We're going to have those traits. But something that affects me or you directly will affect other people indirectly if you let it. And that's what we can't do. We can't do it. We have to learn how to embrace it. And we have to learn how to take ownership of it. And a few books Ria's wrote about taking ownership and accountability. Also transversion to the ladder of influence. All that stuff ties in together. The circle of knowledge, the circle of ignorance, the circle of awareness, those three intertwined circles there. You got to be real careful. And you got to read it real critically, because you're mistaken it. You'll think you're smart. And then all of a sudden I read your book and I'm in the circle of ignorance again, so I can't figure out what circle I'm jumping there. So,
because we're all over the place. Just depends, right?
Absolutely. I learned something, I can read 5 of them, and I'm learning something different from every time, every exchange. So it's been a great journey for the last 2 years. I've had some downfalls. And I know I jumped in from growing up to something else, and I do apologize. You got to bear with me, because I will jump and track the track. We're talking, right? So
ain't no right or wrong, Chad. Whatever you want to talk about. I just appreciate you. Those of you who get on this show, I mean, the number one reason you're on is because you're helping me help other people through your story. Like you said, everybody's got a story. The story ain't exactly the same, but most people's got a story of overcoming some kind of adversity. The adversity may be different, but the number one adversity we got to overcome is that person in the mirror every day. That's the one that's really holding us back. That other stuff happened, like you said, it happened, but
yes,
but what happened ain't really what's holding anybody back. It's what's happening. It's what's is holding us back and propelling us. So go wherever you were about to go there. It doesn't matter where you want to go. It ain't got to be in any order.
I started out dealing with the adversity of my mom and dad, for sure. So that was an impacted particle of my life journey. If it wasn't for my sisters, my sister Tina and Heather, that actually helped raise me up through the gauntlet and help preserve best they could for the wild kid I was becoming to be. So we fast forward a little bit. So I basically come into boring probably around 95. I worked for a Reynolds and Company down in a little town in Fairburn, Georgia. Worked in the shop, thought I knew everything. I was 10 foot tall, bulletproof, couldn't tell me nothing. But I was a heck of a worker. I was loyal. I had some entities and qualities of being loyal and being trustworthy. I never lost track of that, no matter how much the hardships that my parents did teach me that, so I kept that. So I got with Brent. I've been working, doing jobs for Brent since 99. Now, as soon as I entered the Brent Scarbrough concept with these guys, they really took me in. I've excelled from there. I had a few stops along the way. It was very dark places sometimes, but I trailed against it. And all this unfolded so fastly. I'm 48 years old now, and it just seems like it was yesterday.
In 99, real quick, Chad, you were just on the front lines doing the work.
In 99, about 96, I was a shovel. But when I got to the Scarbrough Company, I was pretty much advanced into the program. I was an advanced seasoned guy.
Okay.
Still kind of a / welder, labor operator, just pretty much a rover back, multi guy.
Okay.
But yeah, I had to work my way up. So theoretically, in the industry, I started with a shovel. Didn't take no key, didn't take no diesel. It just a shovel every morning, and you go to work.
Okay.
So I started there, and didn't really know why I was doing it. I complained a lot. I was very bitter. I was bitterness. I had an attitude problem. I had good qualities, I think, but a kind of fine line. But for some reason they kept me around. They didn't fire me. They said, hey, I don't know. They said he's got a bad attitude, but the boy works his tail off. And I kept preserving, and I kept dialing forward, and we're fast forwarding a little bit here. And I go to Brent, and I'm excelling there. And boom, I'm right here at Director of Trenchless Operations. A lot of people trust me. They have a lot of people are pulling and counting on me, counting on my performance and my excellence. And when I've seen how many people really counting on me, it was time to make a change. It was time to make a change for the greater good and build a foundation that I know I can. I've got drive. I got grit. I'm not going back down in the corner, but I'm going to be nice as can be. It's kind of like the Beauty and the Beast. She really don't want the prince, right? She wants the beast, but he knows how to love you. But at any time he could choke you out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that story, and so I've really grown. Going right back to meeting you guys, you and reading your material and learning how to infiltrate that into my crew and my team, and now it's injecting into the company as I see it. When we first started, right, we talked about my team. There was a lot of discussions about my team and how the greater good with them, and now it's boiling over into the company. The superintendents are seeing it. The project managers are seeing it. The people in the office are seeing the change. Mentor of mine, Michael Tidwell, he runs a pipe crew. He's been here for 35 years. And he's hardcore as they come. He's still running the pipe crew. That's all he wants to do. That's all that's his identity too. Yeah. And he told me the other day, he's like, I can see a difference.
Talk about a difference in you, or a difference in you and your team, or
a difference in me.
Okay.
And and coming from him, if you just have to meet this guy, he's pretty hard, and he's almost like a drill sergeant.
Okay, I know about those.
Yeah, and he come up when he see the change in me, and that's for me. That's a accomplishment, and to come from him, and he's a good guy. He's probably got 7-8 years left. He's the most knowledgeable guy in the business that I've ever met, and very, very well respected around the company. But when he says that means something.
Yeah, that means your influence is spreading. Who you are is spreading in a positive way, not a negative way.
It's going to the mechanics in the shop. They're asking me questions, and with books I can read, and things I can do to work on myself, and how do I get rid of this bitterness? And so there's a few things that I've instilled into and especially my team. I've got a great team.
Yeah, and that's where it's met them several times. They're awesome.
They're awesome. I've got a great bunch of individuals. They're intentional. They they try to take the right course. Obviously there's going to be some few falls everywhere, right? But I stay behind them. I think here in this blue collar industry that their voice needs to be heard. The blue collar voice finally needs to be heard. It's not just the white collar up there on the platform no more. It's the blue collar guys that are speaking, and they're better listeners and not strategizing. Stop strategizing the blue collar worker and let him tell you how he feels, and then you might learn something out here.
Absolutely.
I just think that's where we are now.
Yeah, and you touched on a minute ago, and a lot of times for us, for you, for me, for all the blue collar folks out there, for us to have our voice heard, we got to get that chip off our shoulder. we got to quit carrying around the bitterness. We need the white collar folks. They got to do that part. We don't want to do that part, and we're glad that they do. And they need to, what we teach. We speak to, as blue collar, white collar. It doesn't make any difference. When you come and heard us over in Opelika in Alabama, there was white collar, and probably more white collar there than blue collar. But it's the message goes. The principles apply the same, just like gravity. Gravity applies to blue collar, white collar. It don't make any difference.
No matter who you are, yes.
And it applies at home and at work. It doesn't make any difference. And so that's what you've really come to see is in yourself is and I ain't trying to speak for you, but it's what I've taken from what you're saying is you got that chip off your shoulder. You got some of that bitterness, whatever was causing it. You got rid of that, which has allowed you to start thriving within the company, meaning you're not sucking up. You're not brown nosing. You're just a person who's delivering results. And because you're delivering results and you're doing it in a positive way, now you got positive influence with the decision makers at a higher level. And now they value your opinion, which is what all of us blue collar folks want the leaders to do is value our opinion. But we don't understand a lot of times they don't want to hear our opinion because of the way we present it.
Exactly. And that's what I've learned here is, the shadow of the old Chad Cox no longer exists, but he'll show up every now and then if I'm not careful.
He's over there knocking, and he wants to get out.
See the shadow, and so I'm trying to divert myself and suppress the negativity and the cynical ways of different things I hear. But it's so different. The more I develop and the more intentional I get, the more I can see clearly. I can see it clearly now. I was at a convention just yesterday. Rob McKinney with the AGC is just an absolute monster. I wish you could have been there. He talked about.
What is that AGC?
It's the Associated General Contractors of America.
Okay.
They're big in Georgia. They give out safety awards. They have conferences. They have Lean Six Sigma learning, the DMACI rule. They're big on stuff like that. But they're all good people. Rob McKinney is a great individual. He's the director.
Okay.
He's got a heck of a story. He has got one heck of a story. And, I didn't even know he was going to be there. He showed up, and here I am trying to eat a steak, and I stopped eating, and I focused on him, and everybody's like, what are you doing? I was like, you have no idea who this is. You need to listen. You need to so we talk about PPE all the time, personal protective equipment.
Yep.
Well, we never talk about PPM and personal protective mindset.
Oh, that's a good one right there.
And in this industry alone, the suicidal rate is high. The mental healthness rate is so serious. It's so important. It's important to me. It's important to you. It's important to Rhea. It's important to all of us over here that what we're trying to do. We have to touch these guys in a different way. We have to reach out and again, we just talked about the blue collar voice being heard. We got to hear their voices. We got to make sure we can dive into almost on a personal grip to really find out. 5,000 people commit suicide a year in this industry.
Wow.
I believe the statistics show 53.3% are people out of 100,000 people a year who commit suicide. Second leading industry in the nation, the world. Wow. So, that's what he talked about is mental awareness, mental health, and just breathing, suppressing, being kind, like we're discussing now.
Kind to yourself too. Kind to yourself as well.
Absolutely. So it's something that he touched on that it rung a bell that I wanted to share today about, PPE versus PPM. Never heard of PPM. Hit me like a rock, personal protective mindset.
Yeah. Can you share? I want to mention something. Then I want to ask you a question. While you're talking about that, just for the listeners or the folks watching the video, I've got a book called 10 Foundational Elements of Intentional Transformation, how to become your best self. And for anybody who really wants personal transformation, The link's on bottom of the screen right there, bluecollarleadership.com/download. You can actually go read about 15 or 20 pages from that book, the first 15 or 20 pages. And you can read the first 15 or 20 pages from a lot of our books. Anybody who's watching or listening, there's hundreds of pages of free content, but that transformation book, I mean, it's the book that I wrote. How did I change myself? How did I mentally work on my mindset and shift from the goofy, crazy, want to kill everybody kind of mindset that I used to have? I was like you, Chad, though. I made up for my stupid mindset by hard work, and I kept a job because I was very productive relative to everybody else. It was the one way that I proved I had a value, was to do a good job. I didn't know about the mindset part. Nobody ever introduced this stuff to me. 20 years working in manufacturing industry, first 10 years on the front lines. Nobody ever told me I need to read any kind of book. Nobody told me I need to listen to a podcast or watch a video. That's why I'm so passionate about it now. It's why when I meet folks like you who are hungry, I want to feed you, which means I want to talk to you. If you want to talk to me, I want to talk to you, because I don't want you to stop going, because I know people like you are going to do exactly what you're doing. You're going to go out and help other people help themselves in hopes that they're going to help somebody else. It's just, we got to create this chain. But a lot of leaders, a lot of people, you got 800 people in your organization. There's so many people in there who have never been introduced to this stuff. They're just like I was. I meet them all over the country, and there's hungry people. There's, out of those 800, there's probably 80 or 100 people that probably would be as hungry as you are, but they ain't ever been exposed to this in a way. I mean, you going out there, you working, you ain't all over the company talking to 800 people every day. You got your own team. You out there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where hopefully, just by you volunteering to be on here, hopefully some people's going to see this video just because they know you and they hear, hey, Chad's on this video, and maybe they'll share it out somehow, and maybe they'll see it. Maybe they'll get interested. Maybe they'll listen to the podcast or go read some of those free chapters or watch some other of these videos. You know, there's a lot of videos in this series right now, and there's going to be a lot more coming.
Great ones in this series. Great ones.
And so thank you again for that. And what I was wanting to ask you about now, I didn't talk too much about, I forgot my question. What you were saying a minute ago. How has reading our books, and I know you probably read some other folks' books too, but you talk about ours a lot and our relationship and my podcast and all that stuff. But so I'm gonna just ask about our stuff, but you can throw in anybody else's stuff too. But how has becoming a student of personal growth and leadership, and I want you to talk to people who ain't ever heard of this stuff. Like I didn't hear about it till I was 39 years old. I'll be 55 this year. But how did all this stuff help you work on your mindset? I mean, how did just reading a book? I mean, people who ain't done it don't understand what caused it. How did it happen?
Well, I think it resonated in general. It resonated to seeing how much I was letting my wife down and my kids down and my team and my company. So it was time to make a change. And we know it, and every man knows it. You know what's right, and ultimately you know what's wrong deep down in your heart, whether you say you do or you don't.
We know.
We know. I promise you. That's no hidden fee. Now, you can act like you don't, but I can see right through people sometimes. And they can see through me. And there was no artificialness. The powder was gone. So now the only thing I had left in my life was authentic. And I had to sell my true self. There was no more lying. There was always telling the truth. There was no more trying to make excuses and get out of a situation to better yourself. So I had to open up. And the way it opened up is meeting you again 3 years ago, having a briefly conversation that turned into a lengthy, like it always does. And understanding, I was talking and I didn't understand, like, I can't read no books. I'm not going to read. There's no way I'm reading a book. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go do some deadlifts, but once I started diving into the material, it was talking to me. It was actually saying what I've been wanting to try to do to get better. I just didn't have the push button. I didn't have the kickstart, and that was the kickstart to my journey. And talking to someone that's going to listen to this, that's never done it or is attempting to want to try it, it's very worthy. It's worth a shot, right? We're going to aim at a star where you're probably not going to hit it, but at least try to shoot at it. Don't quit it.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Potential. We talk about all the time, potential opportunity. That's just words. Potential is just potential. Opportunity is just opportunity, and you got to activate it. And I think the sole reason I activated this potential and my abilities is, again, and I'm giving grace to you and Rhea, but it's the truth. It's the bottom line truth. I met you 3 years ago. That's where the journey started. And I've been on fire ever since. Sometimes I can't even sleep. I'm actually in my room right now, but sometimes I can't even sleep because I'm too
wound up.
I'm wound up. I'm wanting to help people. I'm wanting to, we were talking the other day about flying a plane over all these states.
Oh, yeah.
And how much bad and corruption and people that need help that you're flying over. So if you think about that as a whole, it'll turn your dog crazy, because it's overwhelming, and the more I develop, the more that y'all have helped me develop through you guys' blue collar development program and how it's actually working. You got to be built for it. You got to be tough. You got to be tough as a damn boot, and you
it ain't for the weak, is it?
It's not for the weak. You can't if there's a weak link in your chain, it will break.
Yeah.
You replace it and you recharge, you re-engage, and you go. But you have to engage in it. You can't do it for me. Rhea couldn't do it for me. The development team couldn't do it for me. None of y'all. I had to take the initiative first to get the book, to read the book, to sit down and take my own time and dedicate myself to understand it. Ask questions to you if I didn't, because you're always answering. Your cell phone's on. I could call you at 3 o'clock in the morning. You might be like, what the heck's going on? But I'm going to answer, So it's a resource. It was a resource for me to reach out to, and now I found people that believe, and I've had people that believe in me, but on a level of developing. I've had people always believe in me at work, and the grunt, call Chad, he can do it, but nobody believe me that can be developed.
Yeah.
And that's where it hits home.
How's it feel when you're able to make that connection? And then you're actually, because you've been reading and learning, and again, when you read about something or watch a video, or you're only learning about it, you don't learn it till you go apply it, right? And start getting some results. But you've done that. So now when other people see you as motivational and inspirational, because that's what happened to me. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, because the same thing you're describing is what happened to me when I discovered these kind of books in 2008, and I've been reading every day now since 16 years. I mean, it's crazy. But how do you actually feel on the inside when you're able to help somebody have a better life?
Mac, is peaceful. I get a sensibility of peace. I get a sensibility of almost a gratification, not self, but culture, a culture gratification that if I touch one person and I help them and I can see the change and development, it's a feeling that like scoring a touchdown with 4 seconds left in the Super Bowl every time, repetitive. I try to explain it to the best of my abilities, how I feel authentically about it. It's a feeling of accomplishment, man. That you went out, you applied yourself to read it. Now you're applying yourself in reality to do it, and physically able and courage enough. It takes courage to do this stuff. It takes multiple courage. It takes bravery. It takes ownership, accountability. We can sit here and talk about it for hours. So that's what you got to do. You can't quit. You can't tuck in a corner. You have to get up and fight. You have to fight for the people. You have to fight for what we believe in, our values and our standards and our country. I love our country.
Oh, yeah.
And we are going down. Everybody's like, this country's going to nothing. No, it's not. You're just listening to the hype.
We ain't going to let it happen.
We're not going to let it happen. It can lay on my shoulders and your shoulders, and I'm going to keep on crawling. I'm not going to lay down, and it's for the greater good, the foundation of the blue collar, the white collar, the construction industry, the manufacturers, the car dealerships. It doesn't matter. I'll take you in if you work. I treat the janitor and the CEO the same, buddy.
100%.
Take you in regardless. And if I can possibly help you, I'm going to help you, and I'm going to dig, and I'm going to show you my loyalty and my faith. I take faith over fear. I don't get scared. I just got faith. I read an article on LinkedIn about the fog when it fogs up. And I think you actually put it out there on the fog and fear.
Yeah. It was a excerpt from Rhea's book.
Absolutely. And, it's gotten foggy for a lot of people. It's gotten foggy for Rhea, but
oh yeah,
she pushed the gas and she had faith and she drove through it. And now she's on the other side changing and making a dang difference.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's what's intriguing to me. That's what keeps me pushing. And to hear you speak and to read your article, just a little bitty sentence will get me fired up. I got to be careful. You know,
You'll be up for hours when you need to be going to sleep because you done read a quote that made you think.
and I can't get it off my mind. And I'm thinking about a teammate that needs help, or I'm thinking about somebody in my company that I need to go out and speak to. And it's almost like a calling. And we're doing it for the greater good, you know. And I may not have the best language and the best pronunciation and the most critique, elegant talking, but I will dive in there and have you back for this industry, and I will help you. And I will.
It's about the heart. It's about the heart. All that stuff you said is maybe important, but not really. What matters is your heart. That's what people who are authentic, they don't care. Like I tell people, I'm bilingual. I speak English and country.
Absolutely.
Right? I ain't making excuses for how I talk. I'm from the country. I like the way that I talk. I ain't worried about it. And people of any character at all, they don't care.
They don't.
People with poor character who worry about how somebody's talking or what they look like or don't look like, and they worried about all that superficial stuff. But
yes,
once you get a certain level of development in your character, all that stuff, nobody cares. Nobody cares. What people really care about is, do you care about them? That's
there you go.
If they're, especially if they're seeking some help. And you was talking about the country, and I just want to share with you, but also with anybody watching or listening. You know, I see all that stuff going on. I have to try to keep up with current affairs. I don't like watching it. It's all negative. I don't like negative energy coming into me, and I don't dwell on it, and I don't get tangled up in all the stuff, all the politics. What I do is what I do is focus on the root cause. The root cause of all that's wrong in the world is poor character. That's why I put all my energy into developing, first of all, my character, with the intent of helping other people develop their character. That's the root cause. If we don't fix that, ain't nothing gonna get fixed. You know, I could go crazy and get mad and say stupid things and do stupid things, but it ain't serving the purpose. I'm being part of the problem, not part of the solution. So a lot of people see me and hear me probably think, why don't he talk about this, or why don't he say something about that? Because that saying something about it or talking about it don't really make a difference. But helping every person that I can help, starting with me, develop their character, I'm helping the root cause. And I can't do it by myself, but I got to think that I can, because that's the kind of effort I got to put out. I got to think that the whole world getting better is on my shoulders. And that's what we all got to do. That's what you're doing.
Yes, it's overwhelming. And you're exactly right. You know, we're speaking from the heart, and people, they see it and they accept it a lot more in detail than you just being politically correct, or you're saying something outrageously you can't really understand, but I'm just giving it to you raw. And when I give it to people straight unplugged, they like that. I would rather be talked to and opened up like that than, you know, drawn around a delegated bush, you know. So it's just something that it's got to be, I think, in your DNA. This is my identity. This industry is my identity. I've worked my tail off to get here. You know, I probably took some years off my life from being in the work field that I have, and that's okay. That's okay. I've raised a darn good family. I've got a beautiful wife, love my grandkids, and I got great kids. You know, but again, it's a heavy load. It's a heavy load, but I'm willing to stick it out. You're willing to stick it out. There's a lot of people in our corner in this program we're involved in is willing to stick it out. Yeah. Look at the past interviews you had have been amazing with Jason and Ken, and you know, you got I could sit here and name them all. I can't name them all, but just the ones I've actually.
It's a lot of folks, yeah.
It's a lot of good people.
And a lot of them coming. We got 7 in the queue right now.
You got a lot coming. I'm interested, you know, and now I'm giving it to my guys. They're talking about it at home, and my team is developed, you know, and it's working. It's working. It's a positive change. We had to activate it. You know, it ain't gonna do it yourself. If you're there listening today, and you don't think you can do it, it's worth a phone call to you. It's worth a phone call to me. You know, if you're having troubles developing and you don't think you're not brave enough or courage enough to call or talk about it, call and we'll talk about something else. And then we'll get into the breakthrough. You know, I think every situation there's a breakthrough there for everybody. Yeah. You know, Jordan Peterson spoke about a saying that he always has is those who have swords and know how to use them, but keep them sheathed will inherit the world. And I really believe that. You know, that's just a saying I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, confidence.
Yeah, right? It's just, you know, you have swords and you know how to use them, you know, but keep them sheathed. Don't let your anger get you. You know, respond correctly, you know, and respond how don't give nobody the fuel. You don't give them the fire. You know, be kind, and you take that fuel. Like they want you to do it. You know, so
yep. I call that taking the sword out of people's hands. You know, we keep ours in the sheath, but we can take others out of their hands when they whoop them out. You can take that sword away from them.
right quick, and then they're like, "Wow," you know.
And really, go ahead.
No, and then I shouldn't have pulled that sword out anyway. You know, so there's some regret there. You know.
Yeah, and you know, taking the sword out of people's hands. You know, one example when I talk about whenever we speak, one of the first things I say is that I'm bilingual. Yeah. I know how I talk. A lot of people think I don't know how I talk, but I know, and I'm okay with it. And
yes.
and so when I say that, when I make that joke about being bilingual, I just took the sword out of their hand. They can't go out there and break and say, how did this guy get to be on stage? How's he able to talking, you know, can't even understand what he's saying. He's saying words that don't even exist.
I know that's not to me, but I don't worry about stuff like that because they see something in me deeper than that.
Yep. So you touched on some stuff, and I made a little note right here just so I don't remember. So I didn't want to interrupt you then, but
no.
You know, I've never heard anybody. You tell me your experience and anybody you know. I've never heard anybody, not one single person, who started learning this stuff and says my life got worse because of it. I ain't never heard one single person who actually went down the path that you've been going down, who went down the path that I'm going down, that Ria's going down, all the people all over the country and sometimes beyond the country that we influence. A lot of people, thousands and thousands of people. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books, listened to thousands of hours of audios and thousands of hours of videos personally. I ain't never heard one person saying, if you learn and align your life with these principles, I did it and it got worse. I ain't never heard that. You feel like your life got worse in any kind of way because of this?
There's no way possible. You know, that's just a reverse activity effect. There's no way that's even ethical. But no, I've never heard one person say that material that they're reading, the advancement. I can tell you right now, from my opinion and plain view point, very direct, that reading your material, getting involved in a blue collarship program that I'm involved in heavily, having, you guys believing in me has pushed me to a forward motion that there's no way the cynical negative stuff could even enter. It couldn't get worse. If something got worse, I need to go see a psychiatrist because I'm doing something wrong at that point. I'm not activating what I'm being taught. And like you said, you can read it all day, but until you go apply it, it's something different. That's when you start growing. That's where the growth kicks in. They can take your car. They can take you. You can lose your wife. You can lose your house, but they can't take your experience and what you've learned and your knowledge. They can't take that from you. Yep. So you carry that with your shoulders back and your head high, and you believe in yourself and you stand up for what you believe in, and you can't go wrong. And maybe people may tell you you're wrong, but if you're authentic about it and you're your authentic self, you don't have to chase money no more. Money will chase you. And that's just, that's what happened to me. I used to worship money and thinking I had to do this and impress this. But now I'm just my authentic self and it's working. And that's the whole development side of what I've been reading, the material, the books, the nuggets, the impressions at night, where it keeps you moving, it keeps you going. Sometimes before I cut the yard, I may read 3 little nuggets that I'm out there cutting and edging and weed eating and back down there and doing the neighbors, and just because I read an intentional article to show my little bit more of a percentile day, and I'm blessed and to have grace. Let's have grace. It's to have grace and to push forward and to press toward. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win. We're at the blue collar guy on my side, the blue collar industry. We're not going to take the back seat no more. We're going to stand up for what we believe in, and we're going to do it righteously, right? And we're going to do it respectfully. But to those who's watching today, need help and want to dive into something, it's a very wise choice. It helped me. If it can change me in my angle and my life journey, it can change you. And it's a good quality, not only your development and your personal growth, because you got to work on you. You can't clean your own room. You sure can't help nobody clean theirs. You
don't even care. Probably if you don't clean your own room, you don't care.
Try it. Get involved in it. I say get involved in it heavily. I think it changes your marriage. It changes your relationship with your kids. It changes your relationship with your family. And then when you got a good relationship with that really means the most to me. My relationship with God's perfect as well. So I'm not scared to say that neither.
That's
But
outstanding.
yeah, and it helps you along the way. There's a sense of being at peace, and we were talking about the other day on the phone about having peace come over you. In this culture, time of day, peace is hard to find. It's so chaotic and busy and hustle and bustle day to day. Like you said, we're trying to help everybody we can, but to get a cloud of peace over you and to be able to just exhale, that's a great feeling. That's better probably than the touchdown I talked about in the Super Bowl. But that's why I keep coming back for more. That's what keeps wanting me to push, because what you have designed here is a plan, not only for me, but for everybody out there. You're trying to help for the greater good, and you set a heck of a foundation.
Well, I appreciate it.
Too hard, it ain't gonna blow these towers down like it did in Miami. These are gonna stand fast, buddy. Somebody didn't do their job, and it looked good on the shell side, but this foundation is built, and we're building something.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, everything that we write about and talk about, it comes from our life. Yeah, we've read a lot of books, but we ain't just repeating what we read in the books. We may be repeating what we read in the books after we validated they actually work in our life, and then we got the stories to talk about it. Everything we write about and talk about, we validated it. We ain't just pulling stuff out of thin air. We were.
Right.
You're 3 years into your journey. I'm 16 years into that same exact 3-year journey you're on. I just hadn't stopped either. 16. No telling what you might be doing 16 years from now. Be careful, right? Don't know.
Yeah, maybe in a wheelchair, but I'm still going to be preaching to somebody. Hey, I'm going to still be trying to help for the greater good.
What's awesome, Chad, is you can do this from a wheelchair. I mean, you're making a joke, but you can do this from a wheelchair.
Yeah, you can touch a lot of people's life when you can't even walk.
Yeah, you could be sitting right there in a wheelchair on a video talking about the results you got out of your life, 10 years from now, 15. Hopefully you won't be. But I'm just saying this.
But so you're saying the truth. Yes. Touch a lot of people just sitting right here in front of somebody.
Yeah, just sharing.
There's somebody out there right now that's starving for this, that needs this. And they may not have enough courage to step up, or they may be going through something where they can't and they're scared. But it's time to make a change. We can't wait till tomorrow. It needs to happen now. And we're pulling the goat. It's on our backs, and we raised this generation. We're almost responsible. I feel responsible.
We are responsible. If we want to be the leader, we're responsible.
I'm responsible for everything. Something goes wrong on these sites, or I feel like it's my fault. It is. You got a problem at the bottom, you got a huge problem at the top, and that's what we're trying to divert. And it's a work in process. You guys are doing one heck of a job. And it's greatly appreciated, not only from me, but my team. My team loves you guys. My company knows about you guys. Everybody in the internal and the hierarchy of the company knows about you guys. I speak very broadly, not just because we know each other personally. And you guys are great. Love you guys for sure. But it's also because it's been intentional. It's been a learning that I've, engaged into, and it's working, and it's changed my life. And it's changed lives of people around me. And it's changing my team's life, and it's changing their families. So it's a chain effect. And this all comes from a conversation just 3 years ago, 3 short years. So it's amazing how it works. So to say that it would get worse, heck no.
That's awesome. I like to say, because of some of the things you just said, we do speak all over the country. What's cool for me in my life, and you've got this in your life, maybe not quite the scale that we're doing it these days, but you're still doing it and you still relate to it, is that conversation I had with you and all the stuff that's come from it. See, that's what happens when we lead leaders. We get to influence all the people the leaders are leading. That's why I pour into people like you. When I lead you, I get all the leaders that you got. And when you lead leaders, you get all the leaders that they got. And it just, I've had conversations like the one you and I had with hundreds of people. And it's so cool to see it. That's one reason we started doing this Real People Getting Real Results video series. I got like 50, I got a year's worth of people lined up just to get, we just doing one a week. It's going to take a while. And by the time that year passes, I've met so many other people. So most likely we're going to be able to keep it going. I don't know if we can do one every week forever. Maybe we can, but the cool thing is I decided in talking with Rhea, we need to share these people so that people realize there's all kind of people from all kind of industries at all kind of levels with all different kind of backgrounds, getting all kind of good results using the same kind of content, which is the principles that we share, but we don't own them no more than anybody owns gravity. We're just sharing principles that we learned, like you're learning, but then we wrap them around our story. And what I want to say is, when we go all over the country and we're speaking at companies, I always tell those leaders, the CEOs, the business owners, whoever they are, this is way bigger than you and your company. That's what I always tell them. What you was talking about a minute ago, I tell them, if you do this, if you pour this stuff into your folks and they start absorbing it, you're going to help people stay married. You're going to help people sustain relationships with their children that they might have lost. You may not never know this. They may not tell you. They may not ever realize this is what caused it to happen, but some will tell you. You may prevent some of those suicides, because Rhea talks about something called post-traumatic growth and pre-traumatic growth. A lot of people know about post-traumatic stress, but Rhea talks about post-traumatic growth, meaning that you're growing and developing your mindset after the stress. But what she talks about most important is pre-traumatic growth, which means you're growing so that you can prevent those things from happening, or that you're better positioned to deal with the bad things when they do happen. Because I guarantee you this, your 3 years of growing, you've had things pop up in your life, and you may or may not want to share about them, but you've had things pop up in your life during this 3 years. Some of them in the past may have been a big deal, and they were not even a blip on the radar because your mindset was different. Then you've had others that challenged you, and it might have got you a little sideways, but it didn't make you run off the road and hit a tree. You agree with that? That the mindsets allowed you to be?
I do agree with that, and I will touch on something really personal because this is what I do. So you're going back to saying where I have developed to test the run, to test the waters on how much Chad Cox has developed in the route I've taken. 2 months into us living here at this new home in Newnan, we took 8 40-round shots to the house.
Wow.
Brand new house. One came through the front door.
Wow.
One came through the concrete. So that was a very bad welcome center for us. That's very personal, but I'm willing to tell the truth. I always do. But to deal with that, and we don't know what happened. We don't know. They're saying that it was a mistaken identity. They don't. Nobody knows. But we hadn't had a problem since. It's a great area to live in. We're not going to take the back seat. We're going to trust in God. And at that point, I wanted to go out and hunt them down.
I know you did.
I had some very friction going on there, but I subsided to say, hey, everybody's okay. We're still living here. We're good. And we remain silent. We keep moving and trusting in the Lord. And that's what happened. And a few incidents with my daughter, with these guys, I think one of them was threatening to, I can't remember, but if not that development particle portions I went through, I would be the first one in the work truck going, and there ain't no telling. That's just how I was, to be honest with you. But 10 years ago, yes, pretty bad. Fast forward 10 years later, different Chad. I kicked that Chad out years ago. He no longer resides. And that's what people can't understand. So if it helps me, it can help the people that need it. Because there's some hungry people out there. This is a way of life that people should focus on. I think it's very healthy to talk about it. It's very healthy to talk to anybody if you got something on your mind. We're all here for people. Like, I'm still here for anybody, but it, like you said, it touched so many lives that the CEO may never even know it. Brent Scarbrough may not even know that, Wayne Reagan that works on my crew has grown into an intentional individual that's superb now. When Wayne Reagan got over here, my guy you've met before on site.
Yeah, I remember.
He had no confidence. He didn't even want to talk in front of you. But we built him, and I mentored to him and talked to him, and I've had his back, and I never let him down. Showed trust in him, and then he saw it, and now I kept watering that bush.
Yeah, he's climbing, ain't he?
Boom, now it's growing. So things like that, Brent may never know. But
yeah, because you don't run out and tell. Everybody don't run out and tell what's going on. You're just making it happen.
You just make it happen, and you keep moving, and we're trying to touch lives, and we're trying to improve lives every day. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's working. And again, it's worked on my behalf. I think a lot of people around me can see it. A lot of people can see around my team. My performance level, our performance level speaks for itself. We're If you do visit my LinkedIn page, as you'll see, there's a lot of great stuff that we got on there. There's a lot of great awards that we won as a team. Now I receive them, but those awards don't come possible unless my team is with me.
Yep, you always giving them credit. I see it.
There ain't no I in there. There is an I in team. Now, the people's got it wrong for years. I want to discuss that too. I love that because it's up to every individual, which is a big I, to do their part. And there's an I in team. But you got some guys out there that are I guys, I this and I that, and I got this. No, you didn't. We did it, buddy. We've been here 14 hours. You've been in the office trailer, eating biscuits and peanuts. We've been over here tearing the hole in the ground. So I don't know. It's good stuff, Mac. I'm just so glad and grateful that I've had the opportunity to be a part of this. I'm glad and grateful that I met you 3 years ago because it has unfolded in a great exchange. It's made me a better man. I've started getting, I've always been kind of a dangerous guy, but I've actually am still dangerous, but controlled. And I know when to use that and when not to, and, I'm not too protective now over my daughters and son. I used to be. I'm more of a strength building. I want to build strength. We talked about this other day as well, is if you're too protective, they don't have strength. So when the snakes come out, they're just going to get her. But now I want to build them that she's strong enough and he's strong enough when I'm not around one day to make those decisions and be able to chop them up, to see them from afar. I don't want to be too protective over them, right? And it's kind of like my crew. I don't want to be too protective over them guys because I want to build strength with them to learn when I'm not there. I want them to do as in my absence, as in my presence, and that's what we're working on now is learning how to build that. And we're going into the company and learn how to be more intentional and stop being so complacent and let some complacency set in. And that's just it's a dream eater, and stop strategizing and start listening. I can't stand when I have a conversation with some of these, big time hierarchy guys at the airport and they're strategizing you the whole time. And I'm sitting here explaining into detail. I've got a plan. I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning drawing this plan, and now they're just strategizing me. So I just stopped the conversation, and say, do you understand? And their question is no. So we just advert to something else because it's, that's what we're working on. I'm still working. I'm still climbing. But just because if I get to any mountain, I'm not going to stay there long. I'm probably going to roll back down now because my knees ain't real good. But I'm coming back down to help some more people, and we ain't giving up. We're not quitting. I'm not going to throw the towel in. We don't have a towel over here. We don't have a safety net. We don't have a plan B. We got all alternative plan A's. I hate a safety net. And I hate saying, well, what's your plan B? Well, I don't have a plan B, Mr. Mack, because
you're going to make it happen.
I'm going to make it happen. If I think about plan B, I'm not going to focus on plan A. So everybody's plan A should be intentional, be worthy, change your life. If you don't want to dive into personal growth and leadership, dive into something that helps you, but I do suggest if somebody is watching this and we can reach out and touch any type of community or anybody that's listening to reach out to you, your phone number's right there on the screen. My phone number's right there on the screen. It's pretty easy. And we're willing here to help you and whatever we got to do. I love my company and I love helping them, but I'll help anybody. This is for everybody. It's just I'm not a one person, guy that only Brent Scarbrough can. Now I will go to war for him and anybody else, but we're here for everybody. Arms are open. We're going to love you while you're here and we're going to love you when you leave, and we're doing it for the greater good. And we're trying to build something and we care. We may not make a difference. We may not, and it may not work, but we're going to fight for it, right? I'm willing to lose. I'm willing to take a loss, but I promise you I'm going to get some wins, more wins than losses. And if it's developed me and it's developed Chad Cox and people can see a difference, it can develop them.
Good stuff.
There's no right, there's no wrong about that. No, none of that. And I don't want to get too much in depth, but it gets me, kind of fired up to say that because it's the authentic truth. There's no blind curtains up. There's no shell right there. It's just if you help me change who I am, that's deep, man. That's heavy.
You just appreciate it. I mean, that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, if there's somebody out there listening and they need it, this is a great opportunity to get involved. Get involved, change your story, change your legacy, not only for you, but for your kids, for your wife and your family. Heck, your last name for even that. Do something worthy. Do it for the greater good. Stand up for what you dang believe in and stop taking the back seat to just people, overriding you, shadow your bullying you. I can't stand bullies. I got the antidote for the bullies.
Yeah.
But it's just, I shouldn't say that. See, there again, I still need some work, but
this is the antidote, is this development, right? We grow and develop people. They don't become bullies. Or, there's a guy, his son was being bullied, 12 years old. He got into this. He read Blue Collar Leadership Leading from the Front Lines that the adult did, 45-year-old father of a 12-year-old. And he started doing book studies with that book with his 12-year-old son. And his son figured out how to deal with the bullies. The bullies didn't change, but he figured out first thing he figured out was what they were saying, what they were doing didn't matter. That's the first thing that, he had to work on his mindset, like we talked about. And then he learned how to become proactive, and he don't have a bully problem anymore, but the bullies hadn't changed. And that's the way, just like you've talked about, like I know the problems I used to have in life, they're still right out there. They're right out there waiting on me to show up if I want to enjoy those problems some more. But I don't show up anymore. I don't live that life. I don't live in that world, but I'm aware of it. It's out there.
Right.
And it would invite me back at any moment. I could go get right back in the middle of that world. And a lot of people, they think it's a lot of hocus pocus. It's a bunch of fairy dust stuff. They like, oh, what they talking about? The reason they don't know, because they ain't never done it.
Yes.
They ain't never done it. They ain't put in that hard work you're talking about to actually get there and see it. And then when you get there and you see it, you don't want to throw it away.
No.
We might slip. We might fall down. Something in life. Life's hard. I always tell people, life's hard. That's a fact. We make it harder than it has to be. That's a choice. And that's what we're talking about. Trying not to make those choices that make it harder than it has to be. Like you talked about the incident with your house, things like that, things with somebody threatening your family or something. It's easy to get off track. And if something happens for real, you got to defend your family. You defend your family. But a lot of times we go overboard. We go looking for trouble, and then it causes us a problem that we chose to have. Right? It's bad what happened to your home, but you're not going to go to prison because of what happened to your home. But if you go do some of the wrong stuff, you could go to prison, you could get killed, you couldn't be there for your family, all the stuff you care about. And that's why we got to be bigger than our problems, really. That's what's got to happen.
Yes. And that's a heavy share. But I did want to share that because it did happen. And that's how there's some adversity there we had to deal with. There's some anxiety levels with the kids that had to deal with,
Absolutely.
So we had to we prayed about it, and we stand fast and we did good. We got through it. We didn't tuck away and leave. And that's the whole thing that we're talking about. We don't tuck and run no more. We stand, you face your problems. Like you said, those demons are right outside the window waiting
on you.
They welcome you in just as fast as you got into it. But we're smarter now. We've developed now. We know that's not the route. All that stuff's it don't even matter. You get butt hurt and mad and you could stomp and cry, but that's all wasting your time. Cry once, don't cry twice, and that's where the development and the personal growth it comes into. Used to at a gas station, if somebody walked by me wrong, there could be a problem. Now I'm just I'm just a greeting guy, and hey, sometimes if you're in front of me, I might buy something there for you, just for the greater good, if I feel it. So it's brought me to a level of, of just worthiness, of kindness, and wanting to really help and stand up for and I'm also a big blue collar guy. I'm standing up for that industry. Our voice has to be heard, and we build America. They need us now more than they've ever needed us before.
We're the backbone of the country, the blue collar.
Absolutely.
The blue collar people are the backbone of the country. Take out the backbone and you ain't got much left.
Then the CEO don't have that nice office to sit in, without us, they don't have the nice plumbing in there to take care of it, so there's a lot of stuff that younger generation needs to know, and we can reach out and touch them. But
I think they're coming though. They're coming. There's a resurgence and there's a lot of pride starting to bubble up. I've always had it. I'm proud to be a blue collar guy. I don't want to be nothing else. And I ain't got nothing against white collar folks, but I'm proud to be a blue collar guy. But some people, Chad, I've had people on LinkedIn reach out and say, why do you label these people as blue collar? And I said, well, actually, I'm one of them, and I don't see it as a label to be ashamed of. I see it as a title to be proud of. And I ask people all across the country, sometimes I'll share that, and I'll say, am I the only one who feels like that, or do we all feel like that? So far, everybody feels like that. Blue collar ain't a label to be ashamed of. It's a title to be proud of. And
be proud of what you are. You know, They need us, and they're going to continue to need us. We built America, and we're going to continue to build America.
And we need to save America. It's going to be, we got to save it. We got to do our part to save it, and we can, but we got to have the right mindset. That's the
right mindset.
Right about that. Yeah. PPM, right?
PPM, personal protective mindset.
We got to have it, and that's what all this is about. And leaders who have the resources to introduce people to this, to invest in people, you know, that's what we got to do. We got to. You know, I was at an electrical construction company last week, and when we're recording this, you know, last week. When it comes out, I don't know when it'll be, but I told it pretty quick into that talk. There was about 50 people in the room, and I knew I had talked to the leader. I went to dinner with him the night before, and I said, I'd really like to share this if you don't mind, but let me tell you what I want to do. And I asked him. I said, I know he's only got 50 employees in his whole company. He's got 40 in electrical division, Lynn Electric, and then he's got 10 in Freedom Excavation. 10 people, and you know, he's building that one up. And he's been in business since I think 99 or 98. He bought Lynn Electric, and he's grew them from like a $1 million company to a $20 million company out in Lawrence, Kansas. So he's doing a great job. But he discovered my content, podcast, and books in last October, and he's been just soaking it up. He's listened to all nearly 400 episodes of the podcast and read a lot of books. As an owner, I mean, he's on fire, and that's great. But he couldn't really get his team quite to buy in, you know, like he was. So he bought 500 books, which is what's required to bring us out for 4 hours. You know, people can do 300 books and get 2 hours, but he's only got 50 people, and he bought 500 books. So so he got 9 sets of 50. So 450 books. You know, he'll divide them up, different books. They'll get 9 different sets. They'll do book studies. They're already doing them. Actually, the excavating leader, we talked that morning from 8 to 12, Chad, and the leader of the excavation company, he started doing a book study without being told that afternoon that we spoke. He got so fired up in 4 hours. He never heard nothing like this. It's one of the people I was telling you. Yeah. He never heard nothing like this. 4 hours later, he's doing book studies because he wants to, because he got so much value. But what I wanted to tell you was I shared with the leader. He ended up, you know, he paid all those people, 50 people for 4 hours. He paid them. He bought the books. He rented a nice venue offsite. He fed them lunch and stuff like that. I told the leader over dinner, I said, you probably paying, it's probably costing you $20,000 to $25,000 for this 4 hour event you're doing. He said, yeah, that's about right. Cause I don't know what people are getting paid. I can kind of figure the rest of it.
Yes.
I said, well, I want to do something tomorrow. And I told him what it was. And he said, that's fine. So what it was when I started talking, I asked the people after it kind of connected with them a little bit. I said, who would you have to be as a person? I was pointing around the room at people. I said, who would you have to be to pull $20,000 or $25,000 out of your wallet and invest in the people in this room because you want to help them have a better life? Who would you have to be?
Yes.
And I let it sit there for a second, and then I pointed right over there. And George and his wife, Mindy, were sitting there. Mindy's a financial person in the company. They run it together, own it together. I said, if you're wondering who you'd have to be, you'd have to be those two folks sitting right there, because that's what they're doing. This $25,000, 20 to 25 today, come out of their pocket. They didn't have to do this. The companies don't have to do this. It's an option. And it was powerful. And I guarantee you the people in the room felt it. And that's I love to do that. I can only do that though when I go to a place where the owner, is the owner of the company, not a publicly held company where they spending the company's money and that kind of stuff, or some kind of government organization. It's really powerful. Yeah. When it's the owner of a company, it's coming literally out of their pocket. They're investing in the people, and I think it really I think they felt it. That's the reason I said it. I want them to feel it, because that's what this is. When a company does it for people, it's not a cost, it's an investment, because like the results you're getting, I mean, you're investing in yourself, right? The company didn't introduce you to me. You figured that out and you bought your own books, but your company's benefiting. Your company, your team, your family, everybody's benefiting.
Absolutely. And that's what we're so I'm trying to get Brent Scarbrough to Shane, and they're going to watch this video. And I want them to be clearly understood. We need to invest into our people. And we've talked about it, but it's time to invest now.
Maybe they will.
And I'm hoping they will. And I'm hoping they will. And I'm hoping they get a chance. They will. I'm going to forward this to them and let them watch it. And, we'll go through it, go through the steps. But it's very healthy. 25 people, or you said 50 people, $25,000, just doing it on your own. You're really trying to help. That's amazing, and
that ain't what they paid me.
No, that's just what
they paid $9,000 for 500 books, and then all the rest of it was in their salary. But we spoke for free, like we always do.
Yeah. So it's something very healthy that I'm really wanting to get Brent Scarbrough Company and BSC involved in. I think it's worth it. It's worth the book study. It's worth, to be intentional and to keep trying, with these guys. And we need it. We need it worse now than we've ever needed it. And not saying nothing bad about our company. We're great. We got the elite guys in the country. Let me
tell you what you say right there, Chad. I got to interrupt you because what you're saying is very important, and I want to share because your leaders may be listening. They may watch this. They probably will, because they value you and who you are, and they probably just want to hear your story. But what we tell people, and it's the truth, and it's a quote that I got from reading a book, but I love it. It's from Michael Josephson. He's got a book by the same title. He says, "You don't have to be sick to get better," and that's what you're saying. That's what we say. The company we were at last week that I was just talking about, they're phenomenal. They're growing. They've been growing. A lot of our clients are phenomenal. That's why they inviting us in, because they already phenomenal and they want to get better. But don't have to be sick to get better. Your company definitely ain't sick. We see you guys, y'all local to us. I think y'all do everything that needs to be done relative to dirt work in the whole area that all I ever see is Brent.us on every piece of equipment that I see everywhere.
Riding out there on a daily process. So I think you're right. We are the elite, but we need to be stronger. You can always add a dynamic to be more dynamic. You don't
have to be sick to get better.
There you go. You're adding the development part of it. Now we're untouchable. Now everybody's diving in, and now we're changing the degree of the industry, and we're also changing families at home. So now we're touching 900 people at the company times another 500 people. Now you got 5,000 people that we're changing. Now we're working on the community. Then once the community starts changing, they change another 5,000. Now we're working on the state. Now we're infiltrating the Southeast.
That's absolutely
the Midwest. You've already taken care of the West Coast. I'll take care of the East Coast.
That's exactly what you're talking about. That's what we tell our clients. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than your company. It's bigger than your community, your state, your country, because it's about the world, making the world a better place. And those companies that do it the best, that's what happens. They have that kind of influence. And, I know you're big. I know you didn't get big like that by accident. You done lifted a lot of weights in your life, but you can take that same principle I just shared and use it at the gym when you're in there. Tell the folks you ain't got to be weak to get stronger.
There you go.
Right. You can be plenty strong and get stronger.
You can be plenty strong. It's up to you. That's you versus you on that one. How hard do you want to work? How much do you really want it? Without commitment, you'll never start. Without consistency, you'll never finish. So commit yourself to it and stay consistent and finish. Finish the drill. Stop quitting. Stop giving up. Stop saying, "Lord, why me?" You ain't the only one. You know what I mean?
Don't be the victim. There's enough victims out there. You ain't got to be one of them.
I've been claiming the victim almost half my life, but I started being the victor now. And everybody says, like I posted, what changed? Nothing changed. I changed. I changed my principles. I changed my values. I changed my development and how I talk to people. I changed my response. I know how to now. Old fella I know, Max Story, taught me I had the ability to pause and explain it to me in my terms.
Yeah.
Instead of some big delegate, high executive presence, and I'm like, what's he talking about?
I hate reading that stuff.
Somebody to spin down the same particle dirt roads and the tough part and the battles and the hardships, and it's so much more authentic when you learn from them broad sides. Yeah, we go through a lot. A lot of people go through a lot of stuff. Everybody's got their story, but tell it, share it, get it off your chest. Stop hiding with it. Stop letting it hold you down. Stop living with regret, because it's only going to put you in dark places. Come on out of here. We're here for you. It's time to speak about it. You having problems? We'll help you. Heck, I'll let you borrow money. Whatever it takes to bring a person up to their standards and know their self-worthiness and their value. We all come from different sides. We all have different stories. But if you can develop yourself and you can start understanding that your opportunity and potential can be shown, that's healthy. That's very healthy, not only for you, but your family. Even if you don't have any kids or wife, but your mom and dad, just build a legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? What is it that you want people to remember you by?
Yep.
And that's what I'm focused on. I want to be able to help people to my last breath. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. I will take any sacrifice given, and I just appreciate you guys, man. I get probably a little outspoken, but we love you guys. I know my team loves you guys. I know my wife does. That's all they hear about you guys. And to be able to be the availability to be on this show, I think being available is key too, Mac. I think being available to everybody is key. You're not saying, well, I have to call you back. If I'd have called you and said, well, Chad, I'm on the phone with a client, you never called me back. Well, then I just, I may not have had that opportunity. You've been available. Your availability is strong, and I think that's key. When you're available like that little availability word means a lot. It's kind of like riding through a small town and you got nowhere to sleep, but you ride to that last town and it says availability. And you're like, baby, we found a room.
Yeah.
It just changed the whole night. We can sleep good, not in the car. I don't know. But if you would have said, Chad, I can't talk right now. I'm talking to a business executive over at Duke University. And I'd be like, oh, Lord, I shouldn't have called him. He's talking to some guy at Duke. Oh, Lord. But you didn't call me back. Then would I have changed? Would I have had the opportunity? And that's what we're trying to, you gave me an opportunity and you were available. And I'm saying the same thing. I'm here now. I learned from the best. I'm giving people an opportunity and I'm available just like you are. And if I can help, and if I can't help you, then I can definitely get him right in your sector there for you. So it's just, and that's what I've been doing.
We came up on them, came.
You dang right. In a heartbeat. And it's good stuff.
All right. You got anything else, Chad? Anything you wanted to say? I didn't ask that's on your mind before we wrap it up?
No, Mac. I just want to thank. Also, I didn't mention Chris West, our safety director for our company. I wanted to make sure I mentioned him. He's a great guy as well. He cares a lot about the people of our team. He's a director of the whole safety program.
Yeah,
and he's an amazing guy, and he's got a lot of he goes through a lot of storms during the day, and
a lot of responsibility.
And I got his back, and he's got mine. But he's a good man. I know he'll watch it. And I know I wanted to mention him. He's very worthy of the cause.
Okay.
And again, my number's up there. My email, both my emails are up there. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to look me up anytime, any questions, any messages. I can be available to answer. I may not be able to answer all of them, but I can help you. I can try. And I just appreciate you and Rhea for what you guys done for our industry. And not only our industry, but for me, and I just want to tell you, it's appreciative. It's working. And you guys have dug in there, and it's changed my life. It's changed my principles and values. And I'm telling you, I used to be pretty rough, but you changed that. And I admire that. I appreciate you believing in me. Like I told you the other day, thanks for never giving up on me and staying in my corner, because I ain't going to let you down. I'm going to keep pushing. And
I believe in you.
Towards, and I'm going to make things happen, and I'm going to keep climbing.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I believe in you, but I don't get any credit. I might have introduced you to it, but you did all the work, right?
Yeah, but I'm still giving you credit. I'm still going to throw it on the table. I know you won't never take it. It's still sitting there, but
well, that's cause you did it, man. I do want I am going to wrap it up, but I'm going to leave a nugget with you and the listeners. If you hadn't heard me say this, then you might get some value out of it, or somebody you share this video with might get some value out of it. But before we wrap up, I just want to leave. It's a quote from Myron Golden. I watched a lot of his stuff recently and still do. When I get to that, I watch and read a lot of stuff, but I like Myron Golden's stuff. And he was talking about victimhood. And he says, this is a quote from Myron Golden. He says, victimhood is only made possible when we allow our contributing factors in our life to become determining factors in our life. You know, all that stuff's out there. It happens to us. It contributes to who we are, but it don't determine who we are. We determine who we are. When we say who we are because of what happened to us, that's just an excuse, because we who we are because of who we choose to be. Exactly. I mean, unless we got some serious, mental issues from some type of serious trauma or something. Most people, we're who we are because we choose to be this way. So that's just something you said something earlier. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I also didn't want to forget it and drop it here at the end. Just a little nugget about victimhood for any folks who may be listening out there. We don't have to be the victim unless we choose. You may be a victim in a moment, but you don't have to be a victim for a lifetime. That's a choice that we don't have to make. And Rhea's a perfect example. Anybody wants a little bit of learning from Rhea, be sure to check out her TED Talk. Go to Rhea Story, RIASTOR. There she goes. She's putting it up. She's back there still at work in the background, Chad. But go right there, watch that video, check out her books. If you want to see a powerful story, go watch her 7-minute video right there, and you'll understand why when Rhea talks, you understand where she's coming from, the platform, meaning her life. Stuff she says matters a lot more when you understand what she had to overcome to be able to say it. So thank you a ton, Chad, for coming here, pouring into to me. I enjoyed watching. Rhea's the first one to watch it, right? She's in the background watching, and she'll join us in a minute after we stop the recording. But it's just powerful. Thank you for helping me and Rhea help other people. That's what you did here today.
Well, thank you for having me. And, it's great. I'm grateful for it. And, we all out here on the outside that are buying into your program. We love you. We support you. And we're going to continue that. And you guys are doing great things across the country, not only for me, but for a number of individuals that you touched. And, we're all very grateful out here, and we're going to keep pushing the pace for you. And we believe in you. And we're going to make it happen. And we just appreciate it, man. We love you guys.
All right. Well, we love you too, man. And thank you. So thanks for listening or watching if you're on the Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel. So hope you share this out with some folks. Chad wanting to help some people. I'm wanting to help some people. You can help us by simply hitting the share button. So, all right. Talk to you next time.
See you, man.